We're on. Okay, so you already know what it is, man. It's your man, SumOfMan, like the grand total. We got my man Noir King here for the cheer with a smile from ear to ear. And we also got my homegirl here, Daylight, a rapper from the Vallejo, representing one time. And today's conversation is, what would Black Jesus do? Okay, if he were here today. But now we're really gonna talk about Christianity. We're gonna talk about multiple sides of Christianity, the good, the bad, the ugly, in between, all of that kind of stuff. But before we get into that, let's get into introductions. So when you introduce yourself, just say, who you are, a little bit about yourself, and then tell us your history with Christianity. Daylight, you are a special guest. Do you want to start first?
Oh, sure. I'll go first.
Can I put it in half an o'clock?
Okay, my name is Daylight, as he said, from Vallejo. I am an artist, rapper, writer, poet. Basically, I could do a whole lot of stuff when it comes to the art scene. That's what draws my heart, makes me, move. And so my history, I would say, with Christianity or religion, theology, and all that, I've always been very, very interested in that topic. I'm actually homeschooled. My parents kind of grew us up in the church and had me reading like the Bible every single day. Like that was like part of my school curriculum. So I could say that I'm pretty well knowledgeable about verses. As I got older, I, stopped kind of wanting to be into religion or Christianity and, just wanted to like check out everything as a whole. So I stepped back from religion and really studied other things for a while, Oh, do I have like a timer?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't hear that part. I didn't hear that rule. Okay, well, I just did a whole lot of deep diving and studying on my own. And that brought me to where I am now with what I know.
Okay, cool. 10 seconds left. Any closing remarks?
No.
We recently implemented that part just so we can get to the intros a little bit quicker.
Okay. As soon as you threw that up, I'm done. I'm like, oh.
I feel it. All right, so Noir King, it's on you, my man.
Alrighty. So about myself, you all know me, Noir King, co-host of the show. My thing with religion, let's see here. So I was pretty much raised in a Korean church, right? So like I got to get both sides of it, Black Jesus and Korean Jesus, right? There you go, boom. My adopted mother was a reverend. She's an ordained minister, right? She's still a reverend. She had she finished school with like a doctorate in religion, so she is like up there in it, right? I was in there like swimwear, okay, and it wasn't, like she said, I read the Bible every day. I got older. As I got older, I decided, let me go out there and see what else is out there, and that began my journey down to where we are now. But what really got me, how much time I got?
30 seconds.
Okay, what really got me was, okay, now this is whatever, but I found out in my ancestry, right, through the lines, I had Viking blood. Ooh, yay. But here's the thing about that. The word Viking is a Christian slang word, almost akin to the N-word.
Yo, the internet guys have
For real,
you broke up. Like we couldn't hear anything you said.
He said akin to the N-word, and then it just.
And then like
nope.
If you go against the church, if you go against the church, you are bad. Okay, Vikings did not have horns on their helmets. That was bull. That was created again by the church. All right, like, and we're gonna get into this today about slavery.
Yes, sir.
Slavery and Christianity. Because when I start telling y'all this truth right here, y'all gonna be mad.
We'll see. Yeah, and shout out to your artsy wall, Daylight. Amani says it's really cute in the background. It's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
Yes.
You said we was talking about Black Jesus, so I put Black Jesus behind me. Nipsey.
Hey.
Shout out to Nipsey. I like that his braids have blue in them too. That's a nice meaningful touch. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and drop off my info. Y'all know what it is, man. SumOfMan, rapper, toe tapper, word slapper, all the things. I also grew up in the church. The church that I grew up in was a Southern Baptist church. And, you know, honestly, it was one of the best churches I've ever been to, if not the best church I've ever been to. And it was pretty fun. And it was really like educational. And they were really just not about trying to get people to convert, but really telling people good ways to live, you know what I'm saying, and how to treat other people and not being judgmental, all that kind of stuff. So it was good. And they were really open as far as their philosophy goes and how they went about things. They weren't like fire and brimstone kind of church. You feel me? And I loved it because my grandpa was a deacon, and my grandma, she used to cook for the church every Sunday. And she used to go to Sunday school. I used to go to Sunday school. She used to go on Tuesdays and shit. I'm just like, bro, that's all the church. I ain't trying to go that many times. As I grew up, I studied different religions. I moved away from Christianity. I studied some of the history there, and I've been really interested in religions since I was a young person because I think they have a really big impact on culture and on society. And I'm really about getting to the truth of things. You know what I'm saying? Getting to the nitty gritty. What are the facts? What's the evidence as far as we can tell it? At this point, I don't consider myself religious at all because personally, I'm not a fan of organized religion in any way, and that's personal. And that's time.
Ooh. Hey.
So Noir King, you got questions, bro?
I do. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for the questions.
I hear the hunger in your voice. I hear the hunger in your voice. Go ahead,
all right. So I think we'll start off with one of the more serious ones. So the first question I have today, as I said before, you know, Christianity and slavery are very intertwined. All right. Now, this is not a shot at anybody out there who believes in Christianity. This is more, I pose as a question to you. If you know the history of slavery in America, okay, and you can tell me with a straight face that you believe in that, how can you call yourself a Christian? Is the question that I have today, right? Because in Christianity, in the Bible, okay, it says, all right, and quote, if a man is to have a slave, right, and he is to beat his slave, and within, I think it's 10 days, if the slave does not die, he is to return to the master and apologize for the beating that he was given, right? This is in the Bible. This is I'm not making this up. And then also, it only gets worse. If you beat your slave, and only if your slave is to lose an eye, then the master is also to lose an eye. Now, these passages were taken and they were used to justify pretty much the entirety of slavery in America. That is, if you all want to know where we as Black people in America, why we are so intertwined in Christianity, in their version of it, is because that is what they've taught us on the field. This is what they would recite to us, right? So again, I pose this question. I pose it to you guys too. If you believe that slavery was cool, how can you call yourself a Christian? And then vice versa. If you think that slavery was bad, right, then why is Christianity okay?
Good question. Daylight, you want to take it away?
Like, ding. Okay. So let's dissect your question, right? You're talking about the passages that they use to justify slavery. Now, you didn't quote them, but I'm vaguely familiar that they do got passages like that. But we're talking about some Old Testament stuff, right? I'm guessing it's like in Exodus or possibly Leviticus. Am I right about that? Right. So the timing of when these passages were wrote, I'm going to say two things. One, we're talking about Hebrews that just came out of Egypt. They were just enslaved themselves. So they just got out of slavery for the timing that these passages were written. to, this is my personal opinion and translation. Some verses are like, and I quote, God said type of thing, right? God giving them rules and giving them his will. Then there's some other verses where it just sounds like to me that it's the leader of the tribe, or the person who's the prophet of the group. He's just saying his own rules to govern the people, or his own like opinion. But it's not like it says actually that God gave them this rule and they shouldn't break it, right? So there's two things from there. One, culturally at the time, the people just got out of slavery. So their words for slavery, or their understanding for it, was super like primitive. Like they were probably still kind of, you know, traumatized at the time, basically. Secondly, by the time we get down to actually the Christian era, like the New Testament times, there's no place in coming from God's words that would make you think that slavery was okay. Now, my favorite example of this, if you guys seen the Nat Turner movie, like what's it called? Birth of a Nation? Mm-hmm. So at first, remember that the slave masters had Nat Turner reading only very specific verses, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't want him preaching the whole Bible. They didn't even want him to be able to read the whole thing. But they told him, you could preach this and this. But then he started reading the Bible on his own. And he started getting to the verses where God kept on saying, let my people go, and raising up Israel to fight against the people who are oppressing them. Once he read those verses, they had the biggest like slave revolt at the time, which I think is the reason why the Civil War happened in the first place, is because of those Nat Turner insurrections, and they were afraid that was going to spread throughout the whole South. So I feel like some of that stuff is like, yes, they twisted it and changed it for their own meaning, but they also did that for ancient Egypt. Like they look at the meaning and they gave us a completely different meaning of what those passages are supposed to say too. So I feel like they do that in general. The oppressor is always going to take something and try and weaponize it against you.
Oh, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I agree with you. I think that the oppressor is always going to take what we have and try and weaponize it. But I feel like Christianity historically has kind of been easily weaponized, and has been one of the most weaponized religions ever, right? Even when we start to talk about the development of the New Testament, which is written by Paul the Apostle, right? Hundreds of years after Jesus is born and died. And we also have the interruption of what becomes the Catholic Church as something like the Council of Nicaea, when they change the images of what Jesus looked like and what Jesus said. You know?
Word.
And it's like, to me, I think it's difficult because you have this whole Old Testament that's for better than not kind of irrelevant, right, when it comes to the New Testament. But the New Testament, what's being said is not even being followed. And both Christian people and non-Christian people will quote the Old Testament and use that to justify their actions one way or the other.
Right.
Yep. Now, I'm sorry, but Daylight made a really good point when she mentioned that they take stuff and they weaponize it, and that's true. But if we're gonna say that, we need to hold everyone accountable. I'm one of those people who will hold every person who sits at the table accountable. Every person, everybody, every race throughout human history has done propaganda. Egypt is the first real example of this, because we know that the cave paintings on there was all bullshit. They weren't running around here with 6-packs. Are you kidding me? You had a 6-pack when you lived. You had a 6-pack when your diet was nothing but fish, dates, and wheat and wine.
That sounds like that would give you a 6-pack. Am I tripping?
But it wouldn't.
He just runs with muscular. It's like, hey, I'll drink no water because what's up?
I have nothing but nuts and wheat every day. Like, bro, I'm gonna be built.
But like, here's my whole thing too. Like, and I'm not knocking Egypt because I love Egypt. Don't get me wrong. But we have to understand that a lot of the ancient world, like, you know, my boy said, they were ignorant to the fact. I mean, again, these were people who were 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. You feel me? Like, to be 20 years old back in that time was amazing. You were like a god, basically.
You're an OG.
20 years old? Damn, son. Like, because at 7 years old, people was already like, all right, so here's your life plan. You about to go work the field. You going over here. You about to go join the army. You feel me? Like, hell, the Declaration of Independence, okay, was signed by 15-year-old kids. All right, because that's who was sitting in the seats. It's like, it's really hard. Again, I know it's really hard again to see history and forget that human beings, we did not start living this long until the 18th century. Like, once we invented penicillin, that's when people really started being like, oh snap.
But yo, I'm not to say I agree with everything you're saying till that last part about human beings living to a certain degree, right? That depends on where you are, because there's some people that are living like in secluded areas in Asia and in Africa and Australia, where they live to be like 127. They're like the oldest people in the world, eating fish and almonds and wheat. Like, that's literally what they be eating.
Yeah. I seen this dude who was 103, bro. Here in Oakland, 103 years old, drinks vodka every day. Oh, a shot every day.
I kind of feel like the stuff that we're eating now, like the stuff I'm drinking now, right at this moment, like this stuff is the stuff that is changing our chemistry in our bodies and making. But you're right, though. A lot of stuff took us out back then. Like, when you're in your 40s, you could get sick from the plague, or get into a war or something. It was like,
and if you broke your arm, it's not like it's not gonna be healed.
Nobody could fix it.
But let's see if we can get a little bit backtracked into the conversation.
Yeah, back to the convo here. So, another question that I was gonna pose here today. Again, these are really quick, but they are as hard hitting as I could make them for today.
I love these questions, to be honest.
I know, right?
This is up my alley.
Hey, look, that's why I brought you here. I was like, if anybody's gonna have a conversation about this, it's you.
I was like, ooh, pew pew. That was a good first one.
Yeah, because I'd rather have a conversation with knowledgeable people than anything else, because there's a lot of history about the Bible and about Christianity that needs to be unfolded, you know what I'm saying, for us all to benefit from.
So, one of the things that personally, okay, this is kind of a personal question, but a serious question as well. We in the Black community, as you said before at the start, there's so many offshoots of Christianity, but one I think that has definitely taken the Black community by storm is prosperity gospel, right? And if you guys don't know what prosperity gospel is, it is the televangelist that you see on TV. It is pastors who preach, TD Jakes, Creflo Dollar, pastors who teach, if you give me 10% of your money, you'll get X amount later on in the future. Now, this is not something that just happens here in America. And I'm just gonna say right now that, on a side note, there are so many people out there who use Christianity to do terrible things, not only to men, but women and children as well.
And old people.
If you guys know of any type of like that's happening in the church, please report it, because church and state ends when that shit when people start doing like that. So, like, say something, because man, there are people here there are people that can help you. But back to the question, okay? Prosperity gospel, all right? Personally, I feel like it has no place here, like, period, whatsoever. And the people who preach it, in my opinion, pastors or not, are some of the scummiest people on earth, because they target people who are disabled and people who are old and people who have mental disabilities and don't know. You know, one of these things, the principle that prosperity gospel that they really like prey on is that a sucker is born every minute.
So what's the question?
So the question was, what do you feel? How do you feel? Do you feel like it has a place here in the community? I mean, they ain't giving nothing back, and they are targeting us, our people, the worst. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about that?
I think I can speak on that. You know, when it comes to Christianity, I can see that there are good sides to it and that there are bad sides to it. It's because I grew up on the good side of Christianity. You know, even like, for example, there's a lot of Christian sects, if you will, denominations who don't like gay people, but my church never had a problem with them because they're still people, and they understood that God is about loving people, right? And that's what the Bible tells you. That's what Jesus is all about. And so it's like, whenever I get into the conversation about religion, I'm like, my issue is not Christianity itself, even though I have a lot of issues with Christianity, okay? It's the people who practice Christianity. It's the people who say that they're Christians, and these people are not really even being Christ-like. And that's why I named the video, What Would Black Jesus Do, right? And so my thing is, people like these televangelists, these people are not even really Christians. They're using the title of Christian, but they're not acting Christ-like, which is the goal of Christianity. You know what I'm saying? And they're going against the goal. So these people are not Christ-like, in my opinion. And I think they don't really have a place within the Christian faith, even though in real life they do. And there's a lot of people who call themselves Christians who follow these people. You know what I'm saying? And these people call themselves Christians, and that's what they preach. They preach from the same Bible as any other person who calls himself Christian. And to me, that's where things get muddy, right? Because you have both of these things that exist, and they're really, really powerful forces. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Really, these televangelists damn near trump real Christians. Christians who really follow the faith and read the Bible themselves, which is what I think they should do. You know, and I think it's also difficult because there's so many denominations. There's so many different kinds of faith and ways of believing. You know, so I think it's just really a messy situation, and I don't know how these people could be separated from the rest of Christianity in a real way.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Just because I agree with most of everything you're saying, and obviously, like, you know, you're not gonna find a place for somebody who is being a wolf, right, and trying to like basically rob our people and using like the thing that we're the most. I think Black people are the most tender-hearted or open spiritually on earth. Like, that's why when you go to a Black church versus a white church, we're jumping up and down and catching the spirit and fainting and stuff, because we're like, you know, spiritually connected. So no matter what you present to them, they're going to spiritually connect if it has some good or some love to it, you know. But one thing that I know that I learned recently, I didn't always know this, the word Christian is like barely in the Bible, right? In the New Testament, I don't know the exact number, but it's really low. Like, they might have said the word Christian maybe like 6 to 10 times in the whole New Testament.
Really? They ain't said no times in the original.
They might not have said it at all, but
they,
you know,
definitely didn't.
Depending on a translation, right? You know.
Yeah, the translation said, but the original language does not say that.
They didn't say it at all, right? So I found out the word that they do say in the New Testament is disciple. They use the word disciple and discipleship over and over again. That's like 200. They say like 200 times versus the 3-4 times they say Christian. So that lets me know, you know, if you're looking for whether somebody is real or not about what they follow, look for what a disciple is. Because a disciple, you know, like a gangster disciple, they're very militant about following or following through, I should say, with what they believe. You know, like, you could basically tell when somebody's the real or when they're just using these for talking points to be able to like shut down an abortion clinic or kick gays out of a building, or, you know, they use it politically, and that's when you can tell instantly that's, you know, funky.
But okay, so I got a follow-up question for that, and we got a question in the chat. So two questions, one quick and then one that's longer, and then I ask the follow-up question to this thing. One is, how do we as Black people protect ourselves from predatory Christianity? Do we have any ideas, any thoughts?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. You go first.
No. I'm sorry. It froze on that last little bit, so I don't.
How do we protect ourselves from predatory Christianity?
Ooh, okay. Here, I have some thoughts on that.
Go ahead.
Number one, education. Okay, educate yourself, please. I if you guys take nothing away from this, please take this away. Understand that I am not bashing anyone for their beliefs when I ask these questions, okay? I asked them because I myself was once ignorant to these facts, and I did not know the difference, and thus it made me a worse person, in my opinion, because I would use, like she said, the Bible for political and not for what it actually is, which, you know, Najee said, as to make you try to be a better person. So if one thing that we can do to help protect ourselves is education, and it's free, okay? Look, I don't agree with everybody on TikTok, and I don't agree with all these people on YouTube that go out and they want to be, you know, what is it, armchair pastors or whatever. I don't believe in all that shit. Everybody want to be, oh, I know that the stars, when you saw the moon in retrograde over, no, fuck all that bullshit, okay? Go out, do your own research, because again, like, you know, like my man said, people are shifty and grifty. A sucker is born every second. Pet rocks, okay, and mood stones, okay. You guys want to know that the white people don't give a fuck about you? They sold us mood stones, and they told us that if you get angry, the stone's gonna change fucking color. Nah, nigga, it changes color because the body heat, son.
Facts. And people believed it was real. As a kid, I believed it. I was like, oh my god, it's so cool. But it was fake.
Oh my god!
It was a conspiracy to destroy the black community. Moonstones. But yes, bro. We have another question, and can we break down what Christianity is? Because Jehovah's Witnesses say that they're Christians, right? You said disciples, but then who is a disciple? Who's not a disciple? You know, what is Christianity?
Yeah, that is not a light question. That's not like a simple answer of what is Christianity. If you try to give it like basic life, you would say somebody who believes that Jesus died and rose again, right? But that might not be a real Christian. Like somebody might believe that and then be like, I hate all people, I'm gonna shoot them up, I'm gonna kill all you Muslims. That is not a Christian, and right? I'm
gonna go to the church and say 20 Hail Marys, bro. I'm gonna be saved because I believe in Jesus.
That's not that is like a hard question. I feel like, like that is like a really hard question. So because
look, I'm gonna let you know that question is from Amani. She asked the hardest questions I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
I ask hard questions. I ask hard questions, all right. She blows my questions out the water. My questions might as well not even hard questions. My shit's easy compared to her.
Like I could answer that for an hour.
Golly.
I want to answer that, and then I'll finish up with my last one before it freezes again. But what is Christian? Man, okay. So again, as we know, Christianity is a word that was created, right? Again, by people. Yay, people. In a time when, again, we didn't know much. So back then they thought, okay, well, if I follow this dude's message that was rewritten by these other dudes, I'm good. And then the Roman Catholic Church got it. And that's when we got the Christianity that we know today. Before, it was genuinely about helping people and taking up arms against people who try to oppress you. That is it. That was his whole mission. Yo, check it out. Don't let nobody take your food. And if you have more food, give it to other people. Love everybody. And if they come at you with war, answer with war. That was it. That was the message that he had. And then he died. That sucks. Like, hey, man, that sucks. But at the same time, though, bro, like, you got to remember that. What was Nazareth? A dirt blip on the map. Okay? It was probably in the middle. Yeah. It was probably like in the middle of a bunch of trade routes. You feel me? And it was probably constantly attacked. And they was like, damn, we ain't got no king out here, bro. We need somebody. Oh, what? A manger? A baby? Then take that motherfucker right now. Yo, we got it. King. Don King? Yes. Well, I'm about to create the greatest spectacle the world has ever seen. And now we have Jesus.
Here he goes. And what's your third question, my man?
All right. So my final question here today. All right. And then y'all, please, again, don't at me. All right.
Come at me, bro.
Don't at me, bro. But so my last and final question here, and this is probably one of the most prevalent. How do we feel about the effect that Christianity has had on our Black women? Because out of every single, like, when I look at it, no matter where I go, no matter what church I see, it is the women who are into it the hardest. And this is no knocks, but from my personal experience, and this is coming from a single parent home, I feel like a lot of women, especially in the Black community, will use Christianity as a, not even a buffer, but as a wall, basically, to prevent them from actually truly being able to love Black men. Because when you think about it, and I'm not even being facetious at this shit, when you really think about it, as a Black woman, what are we taught? What are we taught in school? Okay, my cop's white, my teacher's white, you know, my Jesus is white. Every depiction of Jesus, everywhere you look, is white. When he's hanging on the cross, it's always the same shit, right? And you are told to what? Worship this figure, this white savior, this man who is going to help you. And whenever you see women in the church get pressed, what is the first thing they say? Jesus, right? Don't you wonder, like, the psychological effects that have on people, like especially young Black children? Like, imagine, if you will, if you were a young Black man and you grew up in a single parent home, and your parental figure, whether it be male or female, was telling you that the only other source of parental guidance that you're gonna have is somebody that you literally cannot see, right? And why is my dad not here? Oh, well, Jesus told him he had to leave. I chose Jesus over your dad. And there's tons, I'm not even judging, tons of
a girl literally broke up with me because I wasn't Christian.
Yeah, of instances where
I read the Bible more than she did.
But boy, Najee, she saved your life.
She did, bro.
She
did. I keep it real. I'm glad. I'm happy she broke up with me.
Well,
okay. Thank Jesus. Thank the Lord.
Sometimes it's for the best.
For real. Laura's like, oh, not this one. I will put a stone in your path. It will be unpassable. So you got to convert if you want this one. I'm like, nah, I can't do that, Jesus. The Lord know my heart.
That don't sound like no type of negative.
That's facts.
Like, thank you, Jesus.
For real.
Can I answer your question? I have like a different life experience as a Black woman, and I grew up Christian, right? We grew up thinking Jesus was Black the whole time. Like, my dad bought us like this illustrated Bible with a bunch of Black paintings in it, and every verse that was about Ethiopians was highlighted, you know, like every time they talked about the Nubians, they like highlighted that. So it was like an interactive for Black people Bible. And it was like a nice little taste, but it wasn't even really like the whole story of how Black the Bible really is, right? But since I grew up like that, I had that perspective. Not to say though, now I'm going to talk from the other way, right? I knew or know plenty of women, Black and Latina and white, that all think exactly what you just said, like who cling to Jesus like a boyfriend. In fact, they tell you Jesus is their husband, like they're happy to tell you that. They do date, and when they date, if the guy like doesn't check off one thing on the super holier than thou list, then they'll be like, oh no, that ain't the one. I'm gonna keep praying and I'm gonna pray and wait on the Lord, right? So that does happen. I do see that. And I think it circles back to what you said in the first place about educate thyself, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're just blindly following like fired up preachers or propaganda or white paintings of, what's this dude's name? Caesar Bulgaria, that's his name, right? If you're just blindly following that stuff, then yes, you are going to be really far out there. You ain't going to like your hair. You ain't going to like your skin because you think your God is white, and that is really bad in America. Like, to be a Black woman, that's basically the bottom of the totem pole of class and gender and, you know, just everything. So
exactly.
To think that, and then on top of that, believe that there's a white Jesus that you're praying to, you basically have given up all your power. You know, you're like, I feel very bad for those people. A black woman be better off if she didn't believe in anything and she was like barefoot and, you know, practicing voodoo. I'd be like, that's better than thinking
that's facts. That's facts.
Than thinking it's a white Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you will not love yourself.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Won't.
That's
the thing,
right? And it's like I said, the problem with Christianity is not the book, right?
Nope.
It's the people who use it and what they use it for, and that's so many people, and it's so big. It's literally worldwide. Okay, I have one comment and then I have a question, and the comment is this: one thing that people never talk about, and I really don't even feel that comfortable talking about it myself, and it's that Christians and Muslims were in a war with each other, okay, a long time ago, over control over Africa. All right.
We can talk about it.
All right.
We can talk about it.
I'm just saying there really was a holy war. It really was a holy war, right? And the thing is, Christians and Muslims, they're in the same kind of line of religion, right? Because Muslims believe what Christians believe as well. And Muslims believe in Jesus. They just believe it a little bit different than them. And they also believe in an additional prophet, right? Then you have Christians. Then it goes all the way back to Judaism, which we can get into as well. And so it's like, you know, Christianity. You have the beginning of Christianity. Then you have like the middle of Christianity, right? Which is where shit gets crazy. And then you have this holy war. Christians wind up winning. They get control over slavery. They get control over Africa. And then this power becomes a world power, and it becomes the ideology behind a lot of what they're doing for as far as colonialism, right? Going to these uncivilized people, right, educating them and giving them faith and giving them religion at the tip of a gun. They did the same thing to the indigenous people. They did it to black people here in this country, that, you know, some who are already here, some that they brought over, right? And they try to do the same thing in other countries, and that's why you see so much Christian influence in places, even in the Philippines. And so the question that I have, right, we talked a little bit about Christian people utilizing it for political gain, but in my opinion, one of the best things that Christianity has done recently for the black community is back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, when they actually leveraged the church to be able to build in their communities, because they didn't have to pay taxes and they could meet there safely when they couldn't meet in other places safely, right? And the church is one of the biggest factors and biggest forces in the civil rights movement.
Right.
You know? And so to me, that's really important. So my question is, what do you think is the place of Christianity today? And what I mean is, like, where does Christianity do good at? And how can we like create a situation where Christianity can be good like it's supposed to be?
Cool. Can I speak on that real quick?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
All right. Well, first off, I want to say good question. Because, you know, I rag on Christianity the hardest because, quite frankly, I think it is the worst as far as the organized ones go. As far as organized ones go, it's kind of the worst. But with that being said, okay, man, like when we say recently, can I use broadly, like in the couple years? Because like in these last 2 years, it's been pretty bad.
That's fine.
But
that's fine.
before COVID, and the creation of the internet, you know, churches did a lot of stuff for the communities, man. They would give out food. They would, you know, and almost every single year they do toy drives. Almost every church I know of does toy drives. And one thing that I really do love is how that the church, when it was able to, they were very prevalent in the helping of students with after school programs too. That was good. And again, last one, church has always been a safe haven. If you ever running from bullies or need to get away from people, you can always run to the church. So
Thanks.
that I can't take away from it. All right. Like
Okay.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop before I start thinking get mad. And then get mad again.
It just comes full circle. You're like, you can only say so many good things about it before everything else starts coming at you.
Oh man.
I remember 8th grade.
They made me say my alphabet backwards. That's some witchcraft shit right
What,
there,
bro?
boy. Whoa.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, that should have been a question. Witchery in the church.
Nah,
Yeah, we can be a question.
Wait,
we got time. We got. Look, it could be the next question. They like, what are your thoughts on this one?
Okay. Oh my God. First off, let me just say right quick for everybody out there, to Najee's point earlier, the holy war between the Muslims and the Christians, they did do something else too. They gave us one of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time, and that is the Templar Order and the Illuminati. Quick history, if you guys didn't know, the Templars were hired by the Catholic Church to patrol the streets and the roads of Muslims. The Catholic Church was like, cool, you guys are doing really good. The Templars took the money that they collected from the thieves and they kept it. The Catholic Church as a whole did not like that. They took the leaders of the Templar Order, tortured them, killed them, and made them sign papers that they were heretics. The survivors fled and became the Illuminati. So for all those who think that the Illuminati was some secret rap organization, that's wild. That's wild. That's wild. It's like rap organization. That is
like it's
wild,
not,
sir.
It is not.
It is so far from what it was.
We're gonna have to cover the Freemasons in one of these episodes, but
back to the question at hand. Black people out there, just to let you know, when white people say they do magic, what they are saying is that they do voodoo, because voodoo is ours. First off, that comes from the islands. All right, we created that, and that is before white people had witchcraft. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Noir King, can we backtrack just real quick? Just I want to get Daylight's opinion on this. What can the church do before we go into witchcraft?
Well, I know I'm gonna say this, right? It depends on what we want them to do, because they're doing a lot, but we may not be affected or need it. We're not in communities where we are lining up to go get food at church. If we were, then
wait, hold on. Y'all not lining up at food to get church to get food, bro?
Me myself personally, no. I just went to grocery outlet. I'm like, I went shopping earlier. I don't. You know.
Hey man, free food is free food. Save $1.
But they do give away food, you know. They give away at Friendship every Friday. They give out bags of food. They give out, but you know, this is what I was gonna say though. Like, as a community, collectively, we don't see the church doing as much as they used to. But I think there's two reasons. It's one reason, we've left the church, so we're not there. So of course we don't see it. Like, I'm not there, so I don't know what they're doing. But I know that if I circle back, all them old people that I used to see, they're still there every Sunday. They're still lining up to give out food and toys, just like you said, you know. This is what I was gonna say though. Something I thought that was tight. During last year's protest in 2020, I went to a couple protests where a church came out, and then they came out deep, right? And I was like surprised that they're gonna give the microphone to some church leaders at a Black Lives Matter protest. But I was like, all right, let's see what happens. What's this gonna be about? I thought it was gonna make it awkward, you know? But so they get up there and they started apologizing, bruh. They were like, we are so sorry that we have not stepped up and served you like we were supposed to. We are so sorry that we have made you feel like we judged you and we didn't fight on your behalf. And And they had the people in the crowd crying. Like, people were like shocked. I never seen anything like that in my life. And I was just like, dang, it was a church taking accountability for all the stuff that people hold them accountable for. And they were apologizing and saying, from now on, we gonna fight with you. So I mean, like, that was one church though, mind you. But that is a good sign to show you that at least there's some people out there that are empathetic and feel like they know and they hear the judgment of the people who they've let down, which I think that's a good thing, you know. But you can't really like guess what the church as a whole is gonna do, you know, because they're not under one person. So it's supposed to be under God.
Yeah, but that's the issue. That's the whole issue.
I'd be like, which God? I don't know who they talking to. I don't know who you're
Exactly.
praying
Are you
to.
talking about Old Testament God, Middle Testament God, bro? New Testament God? Which
No,
version of the Bible?
That's
King
not
James, International version of God, bro? Like,
they're talking about the
Hey,
In
man,
God We Trust on the back of the dollar.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know
Hey,
who
man,
that
shout out
is.
to the Lutheran Church though, real quick. Shout out, I'm dead ass. Shout out to the Lutheran Church. People don't know. Little trivia question. Martin Luther King actually got his name from Martin Luther back in the day, who created the Lutheran Church, and they were against like the Roman Church, and they were against a lot of the way that people practice, and they were really about people reading the Bible themselves, because the church, like the Roman Church, the Catholic Church, they practice like, oh, if you want to get to God, if you want to get to Jesus, you got to go through me. You got to go through these saints. You got to go through these priests and these other people, because we're ordained and we're literally holier than thou. Okay. And Martin Luther was like, nah, bro, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says everybody's equal. Even Jesus was equal. So how can you be as holy as he, or even holier than? You know what I'm saying? And so they're really about reading the Bible and creating a personal connection with God, which I think is dope. So I just want to say shout out to that. And now witchcraft.
So real quick, also to what he said, if it was not for the Lutheran Church, though, we would not have hell in the Bible. So there you go. Congratulations.
Really?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So
I noticed that word didn't come up until New Testament too. Hell is not a thing. It's like the paradise or the place of Shiloh or something.
The place of gnashing teeth is just what they say. It's like the place of gnashing teeth, but it's an actual area. It's an actual place. It was an actual city that was being referred to. Yeah, where they burned bodies, and it was like a terrible place. It was like Sodom and Gomorrah, but worse.
Right?
It's like Sodom and Gomorrah is like, look, if you fuck around, you're gonna be over there in Hayward.
Yeah. Hey, whoa.
You be chilling in San Lorenzo, like, oh no, not San Lorenzo, brother, please. Exit over there, guys. Hey, because Hayward is the booty of the bay.
Wow. I don't believe that. But anyways, back to witchcraft and that whole thing. Yeah, so because this gets me into what I was gonna say, but hell, right? The depiction of hell was actually written by Dante. He was the first guy to ever invent that in Dante's Divine Comedy, better known as Dantes Inferno for now peoples. And that was great because that was the one that depicted hell. And in his depiction of hell, he had the 7 rings, and one of those rings had witches, right? Which were like, oh, terrible, ugly women, right? Prostitutes, basically, who had wronged Dante in his life. By the way, the Divine Comedy was written at all the people that he did not like after the Crusades. That's wild. So hell was created to punish people that this guy did not like in real life. That's why all demons look like people, and all demon dogs look like dogs. Yeah, wild shit. Anyways, back to witchcraft. So Christianity and witchcraft come like this, right? Because of the Salem witch trials, which happened here in America in the 1800s. Right? And now witch trials happened all across the world. People were burning witches forever. What made these trials so prevalent to modern day society is because they didn't just burn people at the stake. They created elaborate, fear factor style games for people. Like
Squid Games.
For real. Basically, like they was like, yo, check this out. We'll tie this boulder to your legs and then drop you into the lake. And if you float, you're a witch. And then we'll hang you. If you drown, you're also a witch. And then you got what you had coming to you. So you were screwed either way, right?
You sure you didn't remix that last part a little bit?
I'm dead ass serious. You can look it up.
Because I could have sworn that they said if you sink, you're innocent, and Godspeed, you're going to heaven. Like, I thought that was
if you sink, then guess what? You are a witch too. And I'm sorry, clearly you could, because if you could float, that means you were a witch and you had to die. But if you sunk, that also meant that you were a witch because God hates you and you died. They would bury you, and if you managed to get out, guess what? You weren't a witch. Congratulations. But now you just came back from the dead, so we have to burn you. 1800s. Yeah, the law. They also, but to be fair though, they were so afraid of people coming back from the dead that when you were buried back in the day, your coffin would have a hole in it, and they would bury you with a string, right? And if the bell ever rung, right, then that means you were coming back, and they have to put you down. That's why I have grave watchers.
I thought they did that because their medical science was not on par, and they were declaring people dead who were not dead. So they were like, "Oh snap, he's alive! Let him out."
Yeah, that happened once, and that's when people were like, "Oh shit, maybe it was really just like, maybe we gotta go back to this whole science thing again." And then it started spreading, and that's when it started to get super. Again, the reason why I truly believe that Christianity made it as far as it did was because enough people were convinced that it was true. Like, there was because for me, the paganism was an oral tradition. It was passed down orally. Like, they didn't really write it down per se. Even now, even what we have now is just fragmented information, and we only know what we know because the Scottish kings who created Odinism, right, wrote it down. Yeah, the more you know. But so yeah, it just caught fire, and then people were like, "Oh shit, there might be dead people that might come back too, so we should put strings on them." One dude was so afraid that he asked to have concrete poured in his over his gravesite. Yep, so that he couldn't come back, and that no one could dig up his body and use it. Was it H.G. Triple?
H.G. Wells?
No, not H.G. Wells. It was H.G. Holmes. H. Holmes. Yeah, he was a again another. Almost every serial killer in the 1800s believed in God too. By the way, they were devout Christians. Yep. Wow, that's so wild.
Gangster killers right now. Every gangster who's a killer right now is a devout Christian with Christian tattoos and verses all over.
Verses, crosses, wear a cross around their neck, wear a rosary, and shoot your ass.
Hey man, look.
They need something to believe in afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. To save your soul. And that's another thing. It's just like free savior, free salvation. Like, no matter what you do, free salvation, as long as you believe.
The founding fathers
witchcraft. Do you have any comments on witchcraft, Daylight?
Oh man, I got a lot.
Go ahead. Break it down for us.
Well, one thing that I find very, very, very interesting is you get the damnation of witchcraft as a whole from the Christian church, right? Maybe not. People don't always quote the verses. They just tell you, don't do witchcraft, it's evil, da da da, it's an abomination. And you're like, what verse is that? And they don't really tell you the verse. I don't know, however. But since I got a little, spiritual, my other practices and learning and trying to figure things out, I started looking back at the Bible for it seems like some of the stuff that they do in witchcraft, depending on what kind of witchcraft it is very close because it's spiritual practices. So when you're doing prayers and you're trying to, speak things into existence, or when you're, trying to have visions and prophetic stuff like that, it's all kind of closely mingled. So I found out that in the Old Testament, practiced by the Hebrew people, they used to use divination tools, right? There's these things called the Uma and the Thurman, which were literally sticks and little tools that they would throw, and they would ask them a question and then they would roll and give them an answer. But I feel like a lot of people don't know that. In Christianity, they just act like everything witchcraft is evil, blah, 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 and it's not real. But also there's a story back in the Old Testament by King Saul where he goes to a medium, and it says medium in the Old Testament, and he asks her to bring up an old prophet to ask him questions, and he pays the lady, she does some spell, and then a ghost comes up from the grave and talks to him. Now, he got in trouble for that, mind you, in the Bible, but they never said that it wasn't real and it didn't work. They didn't say, the medium called a fake demon. No, it didn't say it was a demon. It said it was a ghost and that she called him. And then he got in trouble you need to ask God instead of asking the ghost for advice. But it didn't say that he wasn't unable to contact his ancestor by asking a medium. So I always thought stuff like that was interesting. Like people just kind of lump it in as all this fake witchery stuff, but the Bible didn't like say it was fake. And it also, it's just interesting to me.
And I guess still drinking the water from the wine and eating the bread, which is supposed to represent the body of Christ. Witchcraft.
Right. When you call it a miracle, not magic, and all of a sudden it's different.
Exactly. Moses did magic. All right.
Moses
Jesus did magic. All right.
It just depends on the words you use, right? Because certain words are European laced words, and we go, "Oh my gosh, it's evil because it's magic." But
even the word God is European.
Yes,
now,
it is.
Shout out to Elohim. And just I do have a comment about this thing. You said that people don't know, right? And in Judaism, in the Jewish faith, there's a specific sector called the Kabbalah, right? And that's not like the regular Torah. It's like a specific sector of Jewish people who study the Kabbalah, which is the math of the Bible, right? And then they equate the math to a science and a certain level of mysticism, right? And it has to do with numbers and numerology and all this kind of stuff and how things go. And it's crazy because it's about the Old Testament, right? And Christianity is based on the Old and the New Testament combined. But Christianity, they don't have any kind of involvement with that kind of stuff, even though they're reading the same Bible as these other people are reading, right? They're just like, nah, but that don't exist. I know yours came before ours, and this is what y'all learned about it, and y'all kept the history, but nope. Can't do it. It's crazy. It's crazy how that comes out. Noir King, it's on you, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I believe that's because Christians want, like you said, and what is in the Catholic Church, you can only go through me. Christians need to be special. So if you can do what I can do by reading this book, then no, hell no, you can't do that. No. You can't be where I'm at. You cannot do that. Here's something interesting too, right? We talked a lot about how people have used Christianity for evil and they've done terrible things, and people have used Christianity for some good things, and we've also talked about the prosperity people and how they've done some stuff. We've covered a lot of really good topics here right here tonight here, but I wanted to throw this at you guys. Here's something that'll really bake your noodle. Did you know that the story of the Holy Grail in the Bible is actually the story of Excalibur from King Arthur? That was
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say they took that and they wrote that into the Bible. It's funny too, the story of in Judaism, the story of the Hebrew slaves leaving Egypt, that was also fabricated, because again, it is much easier to follow a hero than it is to follow a savior, which is why Jesus didn't save anybody, he just liberated them. Something else to something else they talk about in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? Like, but again, it's not, and this is not to talk down on any of these things that happened, right? This is just to say how easy it was for people back in the day to interpret things so literally, right? Like, I mean, it stuck and it rolled. Like the Great Flood that happened, you can look in America and you can see where there are places in the Great Plains where there were dips, where there were just giant oceans, right? Because our whole planet used to be a giant ocean. And the ice caps melted, and that was the first major flood on the planet. And people wrote that into the Bible. And that's cool. Again, that's great. It's when people take that and they get so wrapped up in it that we get people who build structures like that giant ark in, I think it's like Midwest. It's in the Midwest. I'm not even gonna try and say what state, because I don't even remember. But somebody rebuilt the ark to the specifications in the Bible, right? Legit. You can look it up. It's 110% real. It took that person years, okay? Years, with 2,600 people with modern day tools to build the ark like it was depicted in the Bible. And I'm not even joking or bullshit. And Moses did this by himself with his kids and managed to keep 2 of every animal together on a boat for years. And we as a people believe this like as facts. When 2 times in history we have tried to build boats, Vikings tried to do it and it sank. We tried to do it with the Titanic and it sank. You can't build big boats. It won't work. It just won't work. The world won't support it, and that makes me very sad.
Mm-hmm. I feel it. So he's talking about. Go ahead.
I was kind of itching to reply to this. I'm sorry. Just not to argue. Just I have to say. Okay, it's fine. Well, okay. You said 2 things, and now I probably already lost what I was gonna say. But I know that for what you said about Moses building the ark, that wasn't Moses, that was Noah. But it's okay.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. There was Noah. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. And there was one other thing you said. I might have lost what I was about to say back to you, bro. Oh.
It was years. It was like 44 days or something like that, right?
I forgot the amount of time that it took for them to build it. I probably lost what I was gonna say.
But they were only in the boat for like 44 days though.
Oh, for 40 days? No, yeah, but it did take them years and years to build it though. He's right about that part. And I remember, because it was about Noah. Okay, if you guys Google this and look this up, you might find some conspiracy theories. You might find like a couple pictures, but supposedly, allegedly, they found Noah's Ark somewhere in Turkey in the mountains. But because it's Turkey, they won't allow people to go there for like exploration. But there's like photographs. I've looked it up and Googled because I'd be like,
today.
I'd be into this weird archaeology stuff. So if you just type in like Turkey, Noah's Ark, you should get some stuff where they were able to like locate it. They found like some geographical like photos, but then the Turkish government won't let them explore. Okay, that's all I was gonna say. That was what I want to say.
Cool. I'm also gonna let y'all know that they found the Ark of the Covenant too, and it's in Africa, and they ain't letting nobody see that either, right?
In Ethiopia?
I believe that as much as the value of a velvet painting of a whale and a dolphin getting it on. Okay, like I swear to God, one of the problems that I have, again, here, let me just throw this out here too. We are not human. Okay, that is a word that was created by white people. But like, we are apes, and we all need to just accept the fact that, you know, we are here. We used to be hunted by sloths. Did you know that? Well, one of the 3 major predators of people, okay, back in the day,
giant land sloths.
Yep, boa constrictors, giant land sloths, and fucking saber-toothed tigers, nigga. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else.
How would a sloth catch you though?
Because they weren't slow back in the day.
Yeah, they weren't. They were
like giants.
They were like,
and they were faster.
Think about a boat.
Because I'm like,
so think about Godzilla. Think about King Kong, but as a sloth.
But like so fast as shit. Okay.
Yeah, fast, walks on 2 legs, and it's like
their claws,
big ass claws.
They could basically cut through steel. Like I do understand.
You know what? My personal opinion is all those animals you're talking about, they lived in Europe. They were not in Africa. I don't think those were in Africa.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. But also, I want to make a clarification. The word human actually comes from the word hue and man. It's not made by white people. It means overman. But also, it takes the word hue, which means like colored man, like person with hue. And there is a level of differentiation between us and apes. I do believe that we came from apes, but also we have evolved. Yeah, facts.
97%.
Facts. And we're also 98% similar to pigs and 98% similar to mice. And that's why they use mice in science experiments, because we're 98% similar to them. Right? Yep. And I think that goes to the strength of diversification within cells and within DNA, and how much a little bit of diversification can change things, right? But there is a certain level of cognitive development that we have that other animals don't have, which kind of separates us. But that's neither here nor there. let's get back to this conversation about religion. And I want to ask you this. And we got about 15 minutes left on the show, so we got a couple more questions. Where does things like the Council of Nicaea and the fact that there are literally hidden books of the Bible that were taken out, you know what I'm saying, by people during the Council of Nicaea, and the fact that a lot of people have rewritten the Bible. King James, for example. King James, first of all, came years and years and years later between all these people, and King James was actually homosexual. And but his version of the Bible, his version of the Bible is like the biggest one. And it's you look up the history on King James. King James had a boyfriend. And King James used to write love letters to his boyfriend. Right? He couldn't let people know out loud, out in public, I'm gay. But he had a boyfriend, and people in his court knew, and he used to write love letters to him. Yeah. Right? But that's the biggest version of the Bible that we have. But my question is, how do those things, right, play in how you view Christianity today? Council of Nicaea, lost or hidden books of the Bible, numerous rewrites, right, taken out of its original language, entire language change. Like, we have a whole new international version of the Bible that mentions the Mother God and Father God, which was never a part of the Bible, right? Hell, never a part of the Bible, and now it is, right?
So I'm gonna say, because I got a quick answer to that. One thing is that it makes me, as of now, always look through a lens with like, okay, what does the Hebrew version say? Okay, what did that word mean back then? Okay, what did their culture believe at the time? And if I can line up enough stuff where I can gain understanding, I'll be like, cool. But if there's too many holes when I'm trying to piece that together, and I check hella different resources, then I'd be like, I don't know, which means I'm not touching it, right? But here's another thing though that fascinates me. One day when I get like hella money, I'm gonna go to like Ethiopia and pay to like go study and read their Bible, because they got a completely different Bible, untouched by European colonizers out there, that they've had their Christian church for 1,000 years, and I just want to see what they got up in there that we don't got. And I had this like really good conversation with the Ethiopian like college professor before, and he was telling me there is no English translation for the Ethiopian Bible, and I was like, what kind of conspiracy is that? So yeah, that's all.
I mean, you can get your hands on a copy of the Ethiopian Bible.
Where can I get it?
Anywhere. You can probably buy it on Amazon. I'm gonna be real.
I mean, is it another language? I've looked it up, and it was like in Aramaic or something.
Yeah, Amharic. That's the native language, and that's.
So I'm gonna have to learn a whole language in order to translate it.
I mean, just learn pieces at a time. Just translate pieces of it at a time, or you can use that good old Google Translate.
I'll do it like in a decade when I got time.
I feel it.
To answer your question though, keeping it quick and simple. Man, so yeah, when they first started rewriting the Bible, like I said, they were doing it solely for control. Let's just throw that out there right now. That's it. And that's terrible. And because of it, we got all the offshoots that we see now. Okay, basically, this is how we got Muslim, Islam, man, and the Catholic Church, which, man, we lost that man, and the rewrites. I think the worst rewrite has to go to the Catholic Church and that whole situation that they got going on over there, because like, man, that's all the way up. All the Crusades, bro. Like, that's what more do we need? Why? Exactly. Look, why? Like he said, why do they believe in Catholicism so hard in the Philippines? Because of the Crusades. Why do they believe in? Yeah. Why do they believe in
Africa?
So hard in Africa?
They literally believe white people are better than black people. And people from Africa today told me that. I was like, bro, what? It's 2021, bro. It's 2021. We're the same age, and you grew up believing this? You mean when I'm over here watching Saturday night cartoons, you over there believing that white people are better than black people? Just straight up better at everything they do? And you're praying using their Bible? You are speaking their language, and that's because of the Crusades. Literally, it's literally because of the Crusades. And that kind of brings me to my final question. And this is going to be a doozy. And we actually got a quick question in the chat. What's the Council of Nicaea? So for the folks who don't know, Council of Nicaea is where they came and they took the Bible, right, and they pretty much made it what it is today. Without the Council of Nicaea, you wouldn't have the book, which is the translation of the Bible, set out the way it is. These priests.
Wasn't it Constantine?
Constantine, yes.
Yeah.
It was Constantine, but there was other priests there as well who helped him compile what is now the Bible, right? They decided what's going to be in the Bible, what's not going to be in the Bible. They decided what Jesus is going to look like, and they had one of their homeboys as the representation for it. It's like, hey, bro, sorry, we need you to be Jesus, bro, for all time, bro, for 1,000 years. You're going to be Jesus. He's like, it's cool, bro. It's like, look, wipe my name from history, bro. It'll be all good. We'll trick everybody, right? They came together, they took shit out, they put shit in, they rewrote shit, you know what I'm saying? They promoted imagery of somebody who wasn't Jesus, who wasn't even what the Bible said Jesus looked like. And shortly after that, we get the Crusades and we get the rise of Christianity, right, as it is today. Now, the question that I have is, have y'all heard of the fact that the Moors are the ones who brought Christianity in the first place to the Europeans when they took over Spain, right? There's a reason why why Italy, I mean, they took over parts of Italy as well, why Italy is the home of the Catholic Church, right?
Yes.
And it's because the Moors are the ones who gave them Christianity, and it's said that the Moors created Christianity to kind of try and get them out of their dark ages because they were in a bad place. You know, and a lot of Christianity takes from older religions, right? And takes from older stories that were being told at the time, including the Medu Neter, which comes out of Egypt. And when you look at, for example, something like the 10 Commandments, every single 10 Commandment is found within the 42 laws of Ma'at. So
but you gotta remember, these people were right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like they're all influencing each other as they're in those same areas, right? I always like to look at the geography of where like Israel is. It's like in the middle of the trade route between Africa and Europe. So, you know what?
But you know, some people say that Israel is actually in Ethiopia, right? You ask the Ethiopian,
it could be.
They say that
on the borders, right?
You know, Jerusalem's in Ethiopia.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Man.
But I mean, how does that play a role? Like, you know, information like that, where they say that the Moors are the ones who created Christianity.
I kind of feel like it could be a little bit of both, right? I think that at the time, let's say that everything in the Bible that we're taking it as the timing, right? When Jesus was supposed to be alive, it was supposed to be Roman occupation at the time, right? Like literally there's Roman people taking over, making them pay taxes. So there's slaves, there's like Israeli slaves in Europe at the time, right? So the legend is supposed to be that the Christianity was spreading super fast in Europe, and the Constantinople and all of the leaders at the time, they got together in order to organize Christianity so they can control the people better. Like that was like the story that has been passed down that I've heard, is basically like Black people were the ones practicing Christianity, and there were free Africans practicing Christianity, but then also of course they flipped it and started forcing it on people as well. Just like with the Arabs do the same exact thing where they were forcing their religion
that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, in the same region.
And that's why you see many regions in Africa, they're very high in Islam. In other places in Asia. Yeah,
so it's kind of like both. But I feel like when you get people involved, you put money, power, and politics, then they're going to use anything to rile up their base. But that doesn't mean that, you know, it just means that's what they use. That's the cover of darkness that they use to like infiltrate.
Okay. So to that, I honestly, I think it's kind of funny when you really think about it. I mean, here we are, thousands of years later, fighting over some shit that somebody said just so they could get something to eat.
So they could get something to eat.
Oh yeah, that was every back again. I'm gonna say this right now. In this century, all of you, every single last person on this planet needs to be very happy that we have food, because back in the day, it was literally kill or be killed. You literally survived season 2 season. Period. It was refrigerators and shit didn't start happening until way later. So every time you went out and you killed something, that was your food.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, shout out to beef jerky and curing techniques.
For real. So with that being said, though, right? It's interesting to me that like you said, it was used to teach people, because back in the day, you could look, there was no pollution, there was no buildings. You could look up in the sky and you could see the planets in broad daylight with no telescope. So it was hard for me to say, well, of course that's not fucking Hermes. Look how fast it's flying around. How you gonna tell me that Mars is not the god of war? It's red. I can see it. Okay? And it was these things that led into, first it was 10, then it was 9, then it was 3, right? Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And that's the Trinity that kept moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now with the Council of Nicaea, right? The other thing that they did, and I truly, genuinely hate this, they were ones of the people who denounced science.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because here's something interesting. 3 points, and I'm done. First, God was in the clouds. Then we created telescopes. Then God was in space. Then we created rockets. Then now God's in another plane of existence. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting how, okay, well, define, but now we have multiverse theory, and somebody just built a hadron collector. So like, we are about to break the multiversal barrier.
We definitely trying.
One exists. Yeah, we definitely trying. So I'm one of those people who genuinely love science to the point where I will die on that hill for science. But I also understand that, religion and mysticism have its place. Hey, Rome would not have been conquered if it didn't have air conditioning.
Really?
Wait, what? Explain that one for the slow people in the back.
Okay, so
that's me.
The Roman civilization was probably the most technically advanced civilization for its time, period. They had toilets, they had working sewer systems, they had the works. One of their final inventions was copper tubing through the walls. They used the aqueducts in the cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would flow cold water into people's houses, which would cool the houses, right? But in doing so, it caused the Romans to do what? Close the doors. They closed the doors, they couldn't hear the barbarians coming. And
wow.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it seems so. I know, right? It seems like you
it's
would
like
think
comfort kills.
Comfort kills.
Well, damn, our society's in trouble.
Like, we in trouble, and that's the trouble. Is that we too comfortable,
kicking our feet up for a long time now.
Exactly.
Yeah. The fall of the Roman Empire was ended because the opposition had bigger cannons, and that was it. That's the end of the Roman Empire, kids. They fell to Constantinople, fell 2 cannons.
Damn, that's crazy. So, I think that is the end of our time today. This is a conversation I feel like that could go on or have a part 2, because there's still stuff that has to be uncovered, because Christianity is deep and it's wide. But as we got to get out of here today, are there any final thoughts that you have, Daylight?
Ooh, final thoughts. Let me go last.
Okay. Noir King, you want to even start us off?
Okay, final thoughts. Okay, knowledge. Again, final thoughts. Knowledge is free. Please go out, study for yourselves, learn for yourselves. Martin Luther was right, man. You can just go out and
build a personal relationship with God.
Thank you. You feel me? Do that for yourself. And also remember too, this is very important. You know, Daylight mentioned it as well. Najee mentioned it as well. These things were created in a time when we knew nothing. Okay, I genuinely mean that. Like when I made that comment of food earlier, that wasn't trying to be funny. That was real shit. People really lived to be 13, 14, 15 years old, and pygmies, like people who were like 3 feet tall. Imagine that. Imagine if you were a 4 foot tall person today and you met a 6'1" person, the first 6 foot person you had ever met. You would think they were a giant. I'm sorry, like I would have.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they have found giant bones though. I'm gonna keep it real.
Fakes, all fakes, all fakes.
I gotta go check it out, man.
Just like I'm only saying this because they made fake dinosaur bones back in the 1900s, and those fake giants that you talking about, I've seen those. One of those, that was an old Tokyo film. The bones that they discovered in Saudi Arabia, those weren't people, those were actually mastodons. So yeah, and I don't mean mastodon like, I mean woolly mammoths, because mastodon, that's from the Power Rangers show, and that's sad. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel it. So myself for final thoughts, I think if you're gonna call yourself a Christian, you're gonna call yourself a disciple, read the Bible. All right, deduce for yourself what it's talking about. And you know, I'm not religious, but I am spiritual, and I would say that. And to me, I think that if God is all knowing, God is all powerful, God wants the best for us, then God would know our hearts, and God would know that people need different things, different strokes for different folks. Some people need the Bible. Some people need Islam. Some people need Judaism. All right. Some people need to look at and pray to their ancestors. Okay. So to me, what's more important than what your religion is how you treat other people. All right. Because God is in every single person that you see on the streets. And if you want to respect God, then you need to respect them first. All right.
Hallelujah.
Hey.
This was such a great episode, y'all.
Glory.
I'm
Hi.
like the baby.
You know what? Noir King and Daylight, y'all together. All your random ass facts. You have a lot of facts too. And all your deductive reasoning, Daylight. Y'all tight.
Look at that.
Just came to say that.
Look, saved. I was saved by Christianity, okay? Saved by Christianity. Jesus came down and gave me a personal intervention, okay? He was, my son, this is not the one.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, I got you. So Daylight.
No.
You know, go ahead and take us out.
You said a lot of what I was gonna say, but I'm gonna just say this. You know, it's very, 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 very important that you do your own studying and you don't listen to other people giving you these nice, long, beautiful words because they be sounding real good, and you might get real like into, oh, that sounds all you lacing me with game, and you go look it up and blot out all that shit they said. That don't exist. It's not real. It was made up in 1331. That's not old enough, you know, for me anyway, personally. I like old shit. If we're gonna talk about spiritual stuff, I just really don't trust the latest, greatest. So I like to look things up, research, you know,
and research.
And if you feel like a calling to something, you know, follow your heart, follow your gut. If you feel repulsed by something, you know, fall back. You know. But treat everyone with respect. If they don't believe what you believe, that doesn't mean that you guys can't work together in humanity.
Facts.
Yeah.
And look, God gave us 6 senses, and that 6th sense is intuition. Okay, don't disrespect the Lord.
I like that one. That intuition, man. Yo, hey, bro. If dude would have had more intuition, he wouldn't have got on the boat. I'm just saying. What? Hey, man, you know what though? Daylight made a mention about the civil rights, the Civil War. Man, you know what's crazy, bro? Again, money. Like the Slaves Rebellion. Yeah, the Slaves Rebellion they did not care. Abraham Lincoln had slaves. What? These fuckers was like, yo, these dudes is fighting back there. Oh, right. That's funny. Like that, they literally laughed at our rebellion. It
Mhm.
wasn't until but see, here's the thing though. I'm gonna say this: the South, that they were fighting for the right to keep slaves. What they
Mhm.
talking about?
Yeah.
I don't.
And,
Nobody tell you.
and the North, the only reason they didn't want them to
They
have
needed more
slaves-
jobs. They wanted jobs.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
No.
It was like,
We know
"It took
that
our
every time they
job."
do any move like this, it's about money, bottom line, bottom
Mhm.
dollar. Like
Yeah.
it's never for the greater good of people. It's all about a dollar. Stuff starts off strong and maybe with good intentional people behind it, but as soon as it gets like massive and starts
Mhm.
like having, then is when you gotta question it.
Exactly.
Because
And two things,
Amen.
right? The road
Yeah.
to
Black
hell
matter.
is paved with good intentions, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
mhm.
And who has more power than the people who want to be at the top? Hey
Yeah.
man, look, I
And
love
who's
black, I love
at the
Black
top of the
lives.
church? But he
Wait,
ain't the Pope.
Oh.
The Pope.
Y'all go
That's the
look
man
up-
with the
look up
most
Pope.
power.
Hey, look up the old popes that existed, and you can look up that one who had the orgy count. That was great. He had an orgasm in the Vatican. Which, by the way, the Vatican was created so that they could have a place where mafia could do their thing and would
That's
not be
crazy.
bothered.
Okay, I didn't know
Yep.
that, but I was complaining the other day about how the Vatican still has like all of Africa's treasures.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yes, they do.
And
They
pictures
really do.
of the Black Madonna just hidden down
They
there.
still,
And the motherfuckers burn books. Okay?
yeah,
Yes.
really,
Burn books
really
and
weird.
knowledge.
They go, oh my God, I can't understand
who
this.
else?
Learn it.
Yes,
You know who
exactly.
else-
And there are parts of the Bible that were written that are burned. They was like,
Yeah.
oh, they tried to burn the lost books, but motherfuckers, they were like, nah, bro, these books we're not burning them. I'm gonna tuck them up in here, and we couldn't. All right, never to be seen again. But there's a lot of them that did get burned.
That
But-
movie, The Green Knight.
It is,
That
but
movie, The Green Knight, that came out. That was one of the oldest stories that ever existed, and they tried to burn that shit too.
What movie?
The Green Knight.
The Green
That
Knight.
was one of the. Yeah, that's like one of the first ever like stories ever written. Like it's old. It's so old. It predates. It's like I would say that it's next to cave paintings. The first ever recorded story that we know of good and evil is the story of Lot, and then right after that is like the Green. Right before that is the Green Knight.
What culture
Like,
is it?
Or it's like it's every culture. It transcends culture. It's literally like
Oh.
it's
I love
literally
stuff.
one of the oldest. Yes, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cool.
we got some
It's-
research
it's-
here collectively to do.
No, you know what? I looked up. I know this is like taking you out and you're trying to close this out, but I was just gonna say
Nah,
that
look, it's cool.
the oldest ancient story that I could find recently was Australian indigenous people. They have like some of the oldest oral traditions, but it's not written down. But they got like some very super old like cave paintings, and I think it said it was like 30,000 years old. And I was like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know they had stuff that old out there. That's all. Okay, I'm done.
Mhm.
I'm quiet for the rest
Nah,
of
that's
the
all good. That's all good, man. Everybody- History, research, do actual research. I seen a stupid ass meme the other day. Somebody's like, "Oh, I can't do research. I'm not a clinical scientist." I'm like, "Motherfucker, you don't need to be a clinical scientist to do research. Read multiple sources. That's research. Did you not go to school, bro? Have you not written a research paper for school? Do you know the APA format is online? You can follow the APA format and you can write a paper the same way that any psychologist could and have it be scientifically valid the same way any other psychologist would.
Back in
Can I
my
get
day,
one?
we had to use at least 2 books.
I know.
2 books, cite your sources.
I got one more.
I'm saying, you can look at some shit. You can find some shit. Okay, don't just act like you can't, like it ain't there.
One more for the people here. Okay, I just want to throw this out here for all the people out there in TV land, and my lovely co-host here as well. If you all take organized religion serious, I just want to remind you that if I right now go walk out into the street with a sign that says "Hail Odin," I will be shunned and probably arrested. If I walk outside with a sign that says "I love the fucking spaghetti monster," I'm fine. That is an actual religion. That is. I swear.
The
Yes,
flying
it is
spaghetti
the
monster
church.
religion. You never heard of that?
Yes. the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster is a religion that is defensible in court. Do you understand?
You can say you did it for religious reasons.
Argue the spaghetti monster defense.
Facts.
Wait.
It's a real church, and it's recognized as a real religion.
Okay, I'll buy this spaghetti monster. But why would you get arrested for saying hell?
Frozen.
His shit's frozen. He says our shit's frozen, but he's frozen for us. Look at him.
I'm not really frozen.
That's the CIA. That's the CIA. I know you're not frozen.
I'm like, well, it might be time to go because I'm empty now. So
I feel it. I think it's about that time. We had a good conversation. There's a lot of information when it comes to the Bible. I mean, growing up Christian, I think that there's a lot of good. I just know that there's a lot of bad, and I don't know if in real life, when you do the numbers, the good outweighs the bad, and I can't tell. It's not up to me.
No hater, but most of the stuff that we were saying that made it really bad, not all of it, right? We did have a couple Old Testament examples, but most of the stuff that was bad happened when the European people grabbed it.
And that's why I always have to separate the Bible from people who say that they're Christian. My issue is not the Bible itself, and it's not the religion itself. It's what's done in the name of religion, and the people who say that they're of the religion and who do these terrible things, right? And they do them, and they say in the name of religion. That's my issue. And my thing is how do we stop those things from happening, right?
I don't think you can past education.
There you go.
I mean, there is one invention that I think will solve all of our problems, but that's for another conversation. Peace be still, because peace is made of steel. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, peace is made of steel. This guy, he's got the yolks.
Hey, I'm just saying, man. So that's the thing, and that's why I'm not really personally with organized religion, especially the way that it's presented and just ran in this country and globally, And myself, I don't believe in any religion, but what I do believe in and what I do follow is the Medu Neter, because it's based on science. It's based on science, it's based on mathematics, and it has to do with the nature of the actual world and our observations of it, which is what science actually is. And that's what I believe in. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, personally, that's never led me wrong. And I mentioned I'm spiritual. I don't really talk about it, but I follow spirit very heavily. I follow intuition like no other. Okay? I'm all about intuition. I make so many decisions based on what my inner wisdom is telling me, right? And I consider that the voice of God. Okay? And to me, God is saying love people. God is saying love the earth. God is saying create life where you can, minimize destruction, right? And the evidence of this is everywhere. When you destroy too much, the ecosystem dies. Then we suffer. Then animals suffer. And it can't be good for anybody. And if God wants us to live, then we have to use his mind that God gave us in order to do that. You know what I'm saying? In order to maximize our living situation. And destroying things around us, controlling people, does not maximize our living situation. Does not maximize the Earth's living situation. It minimizes and destroys all of those things and all of those possibilities. So that's my opinion on the matter. However people come to it, that's how they come to it. But for me, it's science and it's concrete stuff, information. CIA, come again.
Damn. Did he just disappear?
Yeah, he did, but now he's back.
Oh, all right.
It kicked me, then brought me back. I don't know what's going on, man.
It's the CIA, bro.
No, it probably is. They all know us.
They is, bro. They call them what? Black extremist personalities?
Yes.
BEP,
yes.
Bro. BEP's on me, guys.
Yeah.
Black people are God, bro. God body.
They only want. Hey, you know what? Since we over here talking about religion, we didn't even talk about the fact that Africa has gods, man. Like, yo, I see the spider. I don't know the name of the lioness god or the hyena god, but they're well, I'm sorry, lion goddess and hyena god. Crazy how that works. It's like reverse. It's like reverse.
Yeah,
it's like
one
reverse.
of these times we gotta talk about ancient religions as well, because you know,
Why
this
would
was
you
good.
talk about? Hey man, speaking of religions, we can talk about how Egypt was captured because they used cats.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's painful.
Yeah,
God.
how Egypt was captured actually was very painful. That, you know, that's the one part of history that I'm gonna keep it real, and this we need to get off. But the two parts of my ancestors that I'm the least proud of is what happened in Egypt with motherfuckers moving in and taking their shit because it was terrible. You just let a nigga come in your house, bruh. You nice to him. You just too nice to this nigga, man. Just too nice to him. Let him drink your fucking food, and then he's like, "Hey, bro, you gotta go." Actually,
Y'all want to
This
hear
my
something
house.
controversial?
In
So,
slavery.
like, y'all want to hear a little
We should have
controversy
killed him.
real quick?
Go ahead.
What's up?
Okay, so you know how you talking about Egypt, how it got like, you know, conquered and it was real ugly, and you know, didn't feel real comfortable watching that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually a slow thing that happened because for over
Yes.
long amount of years, they was doing a lot of mixed marriages, you know, and Egypt is a matriarchy. So if you marry an Egyptian woman, then you get to inherit all of her family's stuff.
Exactly. And that's why I'm not proud of it. That's why I'm not proud of it, because it was not a bloody war. It wasn't like they just got their asses beat. It's literally it was a culture war, right? And it was with Islamic people. It was with people from the Middle East, and they would move over from the Middle East, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go into Lower Egypt, build some houses and build some lands, and the Egyptians there was like, it's all cool, bro. It's honky dory. It's all good. And then eventually, the people from the Middle East, they was like, I'm sorry, bro, but this is our land now. Okay.
Basically, they took enough of the fortune, enough people, enough of it to be able to take over.
And that's why Egyptian people are light skinned. That's why Egyptian people are light skinned.
If you go to Sudan, which used to be the other half of Kemet, they look a little different over there.
For real. Because they were pushed out from their own culture, from their own city, had to usurp from underneath their feet, and then the Europeans came in and said, "Now we're just gonna beat your asses and take the knowledge," and said it. We said it. But that's another story. We can go ahead and end on that one. Y'all take care.
Let's end it on that.
For real. Hey, knowledge, man. Do your research, guys. But for real, y'all take care. You already know what it is, and we out.